Six Nations round 4, folks. The third game of the weekend sees England taking on Italy from Twickenham. England very much still in the Six Nations campaign title race at the moment, but their destiny's not in their own hands. They've got to wait to see what happens between Ireland and France, and then still one round to play after this one. But they need to get a win against the Italians to keep things interesting for them going into the final week. They would like to do so with a bonus point as well. They have made some interesting changes, very much a Northampton feel about this English backline in particular. For Italy, well, they got pretty well beaten by France last time, so they absolutely need to improve that performance level. That was not what they have been that's not where they've been at under Gonzalo Quesada thus far, so that one will be very disappointing. But every time they play England, they've got that chance for that first historic win. It has eluded them thus far, but every game is another chance. We'll go through the squads which have been named, some stats, some recent history predictions, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on how this one is going to go. England, as I mentioned, have made a few changes. The most obvious kind of talking point is the demotion, if you want to call it that, or the changing of roles for Marcus Smith. He has dropped to the bench. So he's gone from England starting 10 to being shifted out of 10 to fullback to shifting out of the starting 15 to the 23 jumper. They have kind of tried to soften the blow by talking up like his game changer role, how he's going to be able to, perform well against fatigued players, but ultimately the guy would like to be starting. So he'll be very disappointed not to be there, and he was an attacking threat for England at fullback in that last game against the Scots. Didn't have a flawless performance by any means, but yes, he has been shifted to a bench role, and the starting back line has very much Northampton feel. Alex Mitchell at 9, Finn Smith at 10, Fraser Dingwall comes in at 12, Henry Slater's out of the 23, so that is, I don't know, I quite like that. I am very keen to see how that goes. I feel like they could click with the cohesion they've got from club level. Yeah, I reckon they could cause the Italians some problems because I don't think we've seen the most out of that English midfield thus far. Lawrence continues on at 13, Freeman and Sleightholme on the wings, and then Elliot Daly with that big old boot of his. They've talked up his attacking game as well, is there at 15. Forwards-wise, maybe Jamie George is the biggest bit of news there because he's starting this week and it is his 100th cap for England. So big congratulations to him. That is a massive, massive achievement. Good to see him rewarded with a start. Genge and Stuart are alongside him in the front row. Itoje and Chessum continue on as the two locks. Itoje has been impressive as well. Key line-out man for England absolutely this campaign and for many campaigns going forward. But it's the back row you feel like England are getting the best pay from this season. I mean, Tom Curry, Ben Earl and Tom Willis, they have been impressive on the tackle. I think Ben Earl made something like 17 in the last game against the Scots. Tom Willis has looked very comfortable when given a chance to start for England. And Tom Curry, you know what he's about. So they're going to monster you at the tackle, really be a threat at the breakdown. So, yeah, I mean, even bloody Finn Smith's looked very good defensively. Very solid. So England, yeah, it's been a key part, you feel like, of their campaign. They've still got the 6-2 split. Luke Cowan-Dickie drops to the bench. Finn Baxter and Joe Hayes, the reserve props. Ted Hill and Cunningham-South, the other two forward replacements alongside Ben Curry. And then just the two backs with Jack Van Poortvliet coming in this week. And as I mentioned, Marcus Smith dropping to the bench. So it is a bit of a different look. But I, for one, despite the dropping of Marcus Smith, which was a little bit of a surprise, I, for one, am keen to see particularly how the midfield goes, because the Italian midfield is genuinely pretty class. For the Italians, they have also made a few changes in both the backs and the forwards. They've brought in Marco Riccioni, who Premiership fans will be familiar with from his time, playing in the Premiership. He comes in as the starting tight head. Nicotera gets a start at hooker, so they've been swapping him and Lucchese almost week in, week out. So it's Nicotera's turn this week, and Fischetti has also been very good in terms of the front row. He went off pretty early in the last game, but he'll get a start this time. Well, he's going to get a start and hopefully play a bit longer this time. So, yeah, they'll need to front up against the English front row. Nicola Canone and Ruzza, those guys continue on to the second row, so no changes there. And then Negri, Lamaro, and Vincent is a slightly changed back row, with Vincent getting a start this week ahead of Lorenzo Canone, who drops to the bench. Vincent, I mean, again, Premiership fans will be very familiar with him. The guy has got some real wheels if he gets himself into any space, but they'll need to make their tackles for sure. Now, the backline does have some changes. Varney gets a spot ahead of Page-Relo at 9. I don't think his boot is quite as big as Page-Relo. I'm not sure if that leans towards a slightly tactical change from the Italians. They've also brought in Gallagher on the left wing. Capuozzo switches to fullback, and Ioane is back fit on the right. So you feel like attacking-minded back three, and then Menoncello and Brex have genuinely been really impressive for the Italians. I mean, Brex got a try and assist in a pretty poor performance against France. He still looked dangerous. Menoncello got a try, busted a bunch of tackles. He was up there with the run meters. So the midfield battle, for me, is the kind of most interesting watch of this game to see which side gets on top there. Bench-wise, Lucchesi, Spagnolo, and Ferrari, that's kind of pretty steady as she goes, with Lucchesi and Ferrari dropping to the bench. Favretto continues on as the lock replacement. Giuliano and Cannone, the two loose-foot replacements, and then it's the two backs with a 6-2 split, having Tommaso, Ellen, and Page-Relo dropping to the bench. So both those guys, as I mentioned, kind of boot-to-ball guys, Ellen and Page-Relo. So maybe this looks to be the Italians running it a bit more. We will have to wait and see. A side who doesn't mind kicking it is England. They've been putting a fair bit of boot to ball this Six Nations. 40 kicks from hand is their average. Alex Mitchell has been doing the majority of those. There's been a little bit of frustration, I think, from some quarters. But man, you gotta, even if you don't like the kicking, you gotta love the turnovers. They've been winning more turnovers than anyone else this Six Nations campaign. 7 per game. And England's points difference is at the moment sitting at -3. So pretty much every game they've gone to, it's almost at evens, right? Almost every game they've played has gone down to the wire. So they're predicted to be heavy favourites for this one, but yeah, thus far in the Six Nations, all their games have been close. Italy, they don't have a lot of possession, which will be interesting against a kind of high-kicking English team. So will they get a bit more possession against England than usual? They are quite happy to slot penalties, but that's when Allen's been playing at fullback, and they've got him on the bench this week. So will they look to go for a few more tries? They have managed to win turnovers in the first couple of games against Scotland and Wales, but they couldn't get that same success against the French pack, which you feel like was a big part in them suffering the defeat they did. Recent history between the sides, well, it's all England because the Italians have never managed to beat England. But there is one result in the last 5 which was close, and that was last year. That was 27-24 in Rome, but there have been other games in this last 5 which are proper blowouts. 33-0, 41-18, 34-5, 31-14. So the average score is 33-12. England are generally head and shoulders above the Italians. There have been a few close games. The closest one at Twickenham goes all the way back to 2013, which was 18-11. 6 penalties from Toby Flood getting England across the line in that one. There was an Italian try through Luke McLean, but that one is more or less ancient history. It is not predicted to be that close this week. The Rugby Forecast algorithm is saying England by 23, and the bookies are saying England by 21. So predicted to be about 3 tries to the good. England, it is on Twickenham. It's a 3 o'clock local kickoff, which is 4 o'clock in the morning on Monday for me here in NZ, which is not the best kickoff time, but hey, 4 a.m. beats 3 a.m. So I'll take that. Andrew Brace from Ireland is the ref. We'll see how he goes. If you guys want England rugby gear, check out England Rugby Store down in the description. They've got England gear usually on some kind of sale, so check them out if you haven't already. But yes, rank 6 in the world, England against rank 10, Italy. Can you see Italy putting a cat amongst the pigeons, or is it going to be England again with a dominant win? You guys let us know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.